Shit, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, boys and girls. Once again, we're doing this on a social production. It's Friday, August the 2nd, brand new month, August 2nd, 2024. If it's your first time, buckle up, buckle down. Where can you find these videos? On Instagram, follow me there if you like. Subscribe on the YouTube channel to help yourself, help your boy, help the channel grow. If you like to fiscally, financially support the show, you like to loosen up that little coin carrying device that you got. You carry your little pouch, your little whatever you carry, your coin. If you like to fiscally, financially support the show, it's patreon.com/RobSadri. And if you've been with your family Gango, sending all the love right back to you. Wherever you're tuning in from, of course, whether it's Canada, whether it's down south in the United States, further down south, Mexico, South America, Venezuela, down south in Chile, in Brazil, in Argentina, over there in Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Australia, Thailand, over there in Bangkok, over there in the Congo, over there in Senegal, South Africa, to my South Africans, to the ones in Nairobi, hello. Wherever you're tuning in from, glad you made it, thank you. We're doing it together, boys and girls. Times are exciting, things are happening all around the world. As per usual, I hope you're doing well wherever you are, but let's get into it because exciting things are happening. Today's just gonna be another loose episode with your boy. So come inside her. Ladies, suck up that baby batter with your vag. Let's get you pregnant if that's what you're aiming for. If not, then use condoms, use 2-3 condoms, use a cup, put a cup inside your vag, collect the juices, empty it out in the can later, whatever you happen to be into. Let's wrap it up. Let's get you into the show. Let's get us started, shall we? Wipe yourself off, of course, or don't. I don't care. If you want to be like, let it dry. Let this come on my belly just dry. We can shower after the show, and there's no shame in your game. Let that come dry. Let it get flaky. To the flaky bunch. Sip to the gas. Let's get a sip of this first. It's really hot. Nice and easy. We're gonna ease into it and we'll see where we go. We'll see where we land. But let's start with it's exciting, it's exhilarating. What just happened recently? Excuse me. What just happened recently? I believe there was a prisoner swap. One of the largest prisoner swaps in the history of prisoner swaps just went down, if I'm not mistaken, between the West and the East, between Russia and the United States, if I'm not mistaken. West and the East, and the us and the them and us, but we are all one. So a prisoner exchange went down, which was nice. Did I have anything to do with it personally? Literally, there is not a prisoner swap that goes on in and around the world that I'm not a part of. I like prisoners. I'm a huge fan of prisoners. Shout out to the incarcerated. Shout out to the ones that are holding it down behind bars. Shout out to the ones that are waiting to get freed up, but like lawyer charges are extra. So, but nonetheless, you got an income coming in. Even though you are on the inside, you still hustle, you still bang. I get it. You gotta pay the bills, and you got a daughter outside that you gotta feed. She's not seen daddy for some time, but she's gonna be appreciative of the checks that she gets. Now, how you attain those checks is not up to me to be judging and discriminating and say, oh, this, that, or whatever gets in the facilities. I don't know how it gets there. If it's a guard that you know, if it's a guard that you're fucking, if it's a judge that you know, if it's a judge that fucks the guard that fucks you, then let's do that. If it's just a little tiny little ecosystem, a little economy that's just embedded in the prison system itself, because you gotta earn a buck or two. It's difficult. You're out there doing free slave labor in prisons. And even then, if you do the crime, you gotta do the time, or if the crime is really low level crime, then you gotta do the time, as the old saying. But if it's high level crime, then all you got is time. You don't do time. You don't mess around with time. If you're beautiful white collar crime, nobody discusses that shit. Petty crime, lock them up. I'm not talking about, of course, there's the hideous crimes that go on as well that are, the rapes and the murders. You can, whatever, those guys can fuck off. But the rest of them, some of them, sometimes it's just so many people can be, it's just a matter of, man, you talk to people, you talk and walk amongst people, you hear stories, you don't know how people are brought up, you don't know things that, they say don't judge a book by its cover, or read the cover and read the back and read a couple of pages from the middle, kind of get an idea what the book is all about, then put it down, come back to it. This isn't about books, this is about people, of course. Nonetheless, shout out to the prisoners out there doing it. So yeah, there was a prisoner swap, and it's, prisoners, I'll say this, am I a fan of, what even is a prisoner swap? Prisoners are people you take in, do some sort of a crime or some sort of an activity that is deemed illegal, so they get locked behind bars. But you get, if it's internal, then then these prisoners are not going to be swapped. If it's domestic, if you go somewhere else and do something, then get caught, then you get prison time. And eventually you might be you got to be high up, you got to be valuable to get prison swapped. Low value crime does not, ensure you get, not everybody gets to be so lucky to be amongst the prisoner swapped experiment. It's you gotta bring something to the table. You gotta be oh, that fella's a fucking mean chef. That fella we'll hold that fella's a chef and he is cooking, and there's a hold him, in exchange, so we can and that's what governments do, globally speaking. Governments, big gangs, that's what they do. They hold prisoners from one another, and they use them as bargaining chips and tools of negotiation. But this is a beautiful thing, though. I like prisoner swap. It's a positive step, because as relations globally, we do need to come together. There's been so many tensions in and around the world, which we'll get into some of it today. But yes, it's prisoner swaps, prisoner chips, human chips. Tit for tat. I'll take your journalist, and you take my journalist too. So you take a journalist, I'll take a journalist. In due time, we will swap them. We will lock them up together in a cell and make sure that they are. I don't know what it entails to be a prisoner swap or swapped. I think maybe they put the prisoners and make them make out and spit and swallow and swap. Swap that spit swapping, a little bit of that, a little bit of just 69 in between the prisoners from different regions of the world. And when different regions of the world send people to swap spit, relations in the beginning might get a little bit tense. Down the line, after everybody's had a chance to come, you climax, you ejac, your shoulders are now lowered a little bit, feel you're lighting up a cigarette. Now you get to swap. Now we get to talk about the experience, which was nice. So you do some time. But you do got to be of value. You got to be a beautiful chef, a violinist, a journalist, somebody that, a spy. A spy is a good one. That one, oh, we got a spy. You hold, and then you get one of their spies, and they get one of your spies, and you hold them behind bars. And then in due time, you got to first extract information and try to turn them. And then they might turn, or they might not turn, or they might turn into a double spy, a double-digit spy. And then they might get released in a swap exchange program, and then they come back to their place of origin, and then they turn again. So now they're triple. So a two-sided spy, but they're triple-sided spy. Now they got to go back to the. It's. I don't know how these things work. I would assume you try to break. I bet it was easier to break people down and get them to give up information back in the before before the age of the internets and more. Not to say that it does. Not to say that there aren't some black sites around the world where different countries, especially there's probably some regions of the world where they're of course, there must be torturing people, they must be extracting information, pulling nails, pulling hair, and purple nurpling shit, shaving somebody's nuts and zapping it with electricity. That's not nice. But I bet that goes down unless somebody's into it, unless somebody's freakishly into having their nuts shaved and zapped with electricity. You get a fella down in a basement, shave the nuts, strap a couple of electric eels to his nuts, and you're extract the information. He's don't you know, this is oh, thanks for the birthday gift. They'll say that's that fella. So you might just be turning him on, or she's like, I'll never talk. And they'll say, oh yeah, well, what if we sharpen a knife right in front of you for like 20 minutes and you start wondering what we're gonna do with the knife? We're not gonna do anything with the knife because again, your chip, you need to be stacked on other chips, and when due time comes about, you're gonna be exchanged, but we will sharpen a knife in front of you and make you delirious, be like, oh, we're just gonna go fillet some fish after. Torture's faded. Definitely, it still goes on, but it's faded compared to the old times before. Like, oh man, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, people used to fucking torture all the time. Not to say we don't anymore, but like torture is definitely one of those games that's, it's on a downhill trajectory. I'm not too sad about that. I will say, but there was, people made devices, lock somebody's head in a little iron mask of sorts, and they shrink the mask ever so gently, little by little, until their head explodes, or like, put them in a coffin filled with, and then the insides of the coffin it's not a comfortable coffin, it's like a spiky coffin, so every time they move an inch they get stabbed by some sort of a metal poking device in the coffin. It's, so people did, but not to say that we still don't do, those are probably medieval devices. We probably got more sophisticated, sleep deprivation, dehydration, loud music. Get somebody, just be in a room, loud music, no sleep, no water. They will most likely, within a few hours, if not at most, in a few days, they'll break down. They will break down. So people do that shit. But like prisoner swaps are, the lucky ones that are good enough to be swapped. The ones that, if you got someone to be worked with, if you got an ass on you, if you got I don't know, if whatever, you got an athlete in there, you got something that's worth value, you could be swapped. So I hope we got a good deal. I don't know who got swapped on our side. I don't know who we got. I don't know again, I'm assuming, they read a little bit into it, don't know much. I'm assuming a couple of journalists here and there, a couple of people, randos, couple of spies probably in there. I hope our spies, maybe a couple of assassins. I hope we got if you do a swap, you got to make sure you get your money's worth, all right? So you can't, and that's the thing, if you're just a regular citizen like you and I, if you get caught up in a situation where you got to be waiting to get swapped, you either yourself have to be worth of value, bring something to or hope that the people that they're stacking behind you so that they have enough human chips to be traded. I hope somebody brings some value to the chip table so that once again the humans are stacked on the table and be like, okay, I see this many peoples, and then the other receiving end has to say, I see your peoples, and I raised you this many people. So good. So whoever we got, I hope that they were good, and like if we gave an assassin, I hope we got an assassin. All right, I don't want to just be giving up assassin. If we got to give up an assassin, I hope we get a couple of assassins back. Maybe they're just an undercover chef, but like assassin on the line. I just want to make sure we get our money's worth. If they got a physicist, I want us to get a physicist, like whatever it is. If they got a physical, I want us to get a physical. I don't want to hear that their prisoners had the best experience of like getting physical and our prisoners didn't. I would hate that. I want our money's worth. Okay, even exchange at least. We got to get more, of course, but everybody wants to get. So everybody's got to lose a little bit. I just want to say that I hope our prisoners are worth it. And they are. They're good prisoners. They're good people. Most people are good people. It's just life and circumstance. Most of it. Yes, again, not talking about the rapes and the murder. Most of it is just people. It's curious how life hands you a deck of cards, or a hand of cards, or some cards and some playing cards. And that's the life that you play, or something. Let me get a sip of this shit. And if you're not important, or if you're not of value, if you get prisoned, if you become a prisoner, build some value quickly. Talk it up. Just be like, you don't know. Don't pull out that card. Normally doesn't work when people, it is gross when people do pull that card. It rarely gets ever pulled out. Some people are like, oh, don't you know who I am? Or don't you know who my father is? You've heard that shit. You've heard that shit. It's all across the globe. It doesn't happen too often. But pull one of those, it's your last chance to get in there. If you get in there, you're like, don't you know who my daddy, and then name somebody like powerful. I'm pretty sure they're gonna get it checked out. It's like, make something better than that. Don't you know who my mother is? Your mother might not be like important or like, fucking like maybe not a high level diplomat or anything, but like, man, get a mom angry, get in there. Fucking, when it's like a mama bear, next thing you know, the whole Kremlin's falling apart. Why? Because you got somebody's son and some angry mom's just coming in, fucking ripping her bra off and just smacking people around. I'm not saying that we should do that, but I'm just saying if you get caught up in the situation, fucking work yourself up, just be like, oh, I have 3 diplomat dads. They all 69 when I'm away at the local cottage. Make it up. It doesn't matter. They don't know. At least give it a try. Give it a try. 3 gay diplomat dads that will just fucking, make phone calls and shit. You want somebody making phone calls on the outside for you. So that's nice. We did get a swap. We swapped spit. We swapped jizz, bodily fluids, amongst other things. And that's exciting, man. That is exciting. And I'm excited for it. So congratulations to all our prisoners. I do like us getting prisoners back. Now, and let us celebrate for both sides. And for both sides on both sides. You know what I mean? For the East and the West, that's bueno, but also like internally, because it's hard for people to give it up when something something positive happens, just for whenever you're on a side. If they did something and you're like, well, but it's on the other side, so we can't celebrate it. Celebrate each other's positive things. And that's how we bring society back to get closer together. That and jizz. I don't know what I'm saying, of course, and that's nothing new. That's not a revelation, but let's get into it because exciting things are happening. And today's theme, one of the underlying themes of today, is in a shocking turn of events. And also, how much is it worth? How much is it worth in a shocking turn of events? Well, we'll see where this goes today. Venezuela, ¿cómo estás? Venezuela, South America. What's happening in South America right now is, and that's the thing, we're more connected these days than ever. So something happens, you're like, it's all the way over there. It doesn't matter. We're all the way over here, but it does matter. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters, but everything also matters. And that's one of the things that we're learning today. In Venezuela, they did just recently have a election, if I'm not mistaken, and there is disputes amongst the Venezuelan people, the Venezuelians, Venezuelians. That's right? There's disputes, is what I'm trying to tell you, amongst the populace as to who won the election. Was it the previous president that was in office since 2013 and he was kind of like a socialist guy? Is that the guy that won? Well, him and his people are saying so, and then there's many of people's on the streets is what I'm reading. I'm not on the streets, so what I'm reading is apparently that the people are disputing it and they're saying a new guy won. And that guy is not a socialist. And we like throwing these words out because it's nice to be like, we're this and that's that, and and it's nice. So I don't know much about Venezuela. What I do know is that I would like to visit one day. I believe South American women, just like any other women's all across the globe, happen to be amongst some of the most beautiful women's out there. So I would like to check out the scenery, Venezuela. I would like to South America, hells yes. I'd like to make a whole trip of it. If I'm going down to South America, I'd like to see a few places. But Venezuela is on the list. Name me a place that's not on the list. There's roughly 200 countries in the world. I'd like to see as many as possible before the ripe old age of 175. Yes, I've got plenty of time though. Once I get my, bionics fucking kicked in 10 to 15 years, then time is nothing. Time will cease to exist. So time is on our side, essentially. But also, time is running out. Tick No, it's not. No, we got all the time. Relax. We literally have all the time. But we also don't. We don't. But we do. So Venezuela, I would like to visit. Beautiful women. I'm sure you're South American. You must be good at soccer. Your boy likes soccer. There's common interests, common denominators. You like to dance. Your boy likes to bust a move every once in a while when no one's looking. All right, sometimes when people are looking too. If your boy's had a couple of shots, it's been a while, but I will crank it out. And that's what your boy. So your boy likes delicious food. I believe you have delicious food. I believe you have tight bodies, and I believe you have beaches. And those are good enough reasons for me to want to visit. But more than that, you are rich in natural resources like oil. You've got a lot of that black gold. And I'm not talking about like black athletes, which is also another form of black gold, or just like really, like I'm sure you got black athletes too, but that's not your main export. When they say black gold, it is, because there's a lot of talented black people out there, whether it's athletics, entertainment, science. So when we're talking about black gold, liquid, I should have mentioned liquid was probably the missing word in there. Liquid black, you got a lot of that liquid black gold. And I'm not talking about black cum. Because black cum is also white. So again, just to be clear, talking about oil. I'm talking about that drilling. Talking about putting that pipe down, getting that oil out of the systems. You know what I'm saying? Capital, money, mucho dineros. Money. So Venezuela used to be one of the best GDPs, one of the best fucking economies, or down south in South America, for a little while, because they had a lot of oil. If you happen to be one of those naturally, if you are gifted with natural resources, if you will be, people will ruin your country most likely. People want your resources, but it's outside of that. People inside your country will want to use those resources and, trample on it. Most other people's rights and freedoms. And it becomes a thing. Once you got a good commodity, like if you've got oil, if you've got minerals, if you've got diamonds, gold, your country is faced with a blessing and a curse. Blessing and a curse. It's great to have resources. But if the weather is nice, it's not so nice, because that's the only sort of thing that you kind of seem to rely on, historically speaking. Of course, I don't know what I'm talking about, but just talking about warmer climate, when you got hot bods and a lot of oil, it could go in either two ways. You could go either, you could do it the, South American style. We got a lot of resources, whether it be like, oil or minerals or herbs and plants. The cocoa, you got a little bit of the cocoa, so you might go the let's use these resources, party on the beach, but you don't tend to. Most warmer climate countries, again, they don't, it's easier to live in terms, because there's not much of a colder climate. People will have to get out there and invent and create, and survival of the, we got to build nice strong structures and this, because when it's nice, you can either lay on the beach or do it Middle Eastern style. Pitch a tent, get a couple of camels, pitch a tent. You got oil coming in. You don't need to do much. So it's a blessing in a sense, because it gives you a lot of chips, gives you a lot of cash, gives you a lot of resources. It also creates a lot of fighting, infighting, outfighting, creates a lot of demand. And also, because you do have this natural resource, that's just, you didn't really do anything for it. You get lazy. People get lazy. And it's fucking hot. I'm not blaming you. It's beautiful out there. It's hot. Pitch a tent. Go by the beach. Rock a bikini. Go nude. Smoke a little hookah. I get it. Who wants to be, oh, we gotta dig ourselves out of this ice. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Trust me. So, but that, again, blessing and a curse. Venezuela was, again, faced with a election or an erection problem. And that is not something to laugh at, because, hey, man, if somebody is having an erection problem, Fuck happened there? You almost had a stroke, same problem. If you're having an erection problem, ladies and gents, I'm not something to be laughed at. It can happen to any of us. Any one of us can have an erection problem. Did it get hard? It's hard from the beginning, you might say. Not hard enough. Not hard. Hey, I may have been in situations where, or I may have heard of where it initially wasn't hard, but a little bit of friction and spit would get you ready to go in no time. And if that doesn't work, stick a puss in your face. That'll get you rock hard. But we're not talking about, EDM. We're not talking about ED. We're not talking about, we're not talking about Ed. We're not talking about Ed. We're not talking about him today. We're not talking about education either. We are talking about, what we're talking about is that you are having a election problem. And people are essentially, some people, ones in power who were in power since 2013 and are rocking a mustache, they're saying that we won. And then the opposition, the ones that are like, enough, you've been in there since 2013, they're saying that we won. And this is a problem because how do you prove which side won? And this is not something that's just, again, you're like, it happened in Venezuela, man, it can't happen over here, man. Whether rigging elections or just not knowing how to count, this can't happen over here. People fighting over who won. Civil unrest can't happen here, man, because we got a system, we know how to count. And things are always fair and people are not prone to dicking around. Because people are, all right, fine, when there's a lot of money and power on the table, people start dicking around, which is nice. Because, man, it's nice. It's nice. It is nice. Nothing brings me more joy to go to a zoo or a jungle somewhere and watch different groups of monkeys flicking feces at one another. It just brings me joy. One group of monkeys is just sitting there. The other group of monkeys grabs a couple of bitches, grabs a couple of bananas, flings a couple of feces, retreats. Then the other monkeys are like, man, what happened there? So they're grabbing feces, flicking, going for the bananas, getting the bitches. And then this thing goes on. They'll take a rest for a period of time, but they'll get back to it. And that brings everybody joy. But they're just beautiful monkeys, man. What I'm trying to say is that Venezuela is having some election problems. And that might be something to consider because we are now more connected than ever. And something that you see happening somewhere across the globe could easily be happening right across your nose, in front of your face. Maybe, or maybe not. If we nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. Yes, election tampering. How do we keep it from getting tampered? Could we ever even have an untampered with election? Has there ever been, there's a little bit of tampering in all elections. Because again, we're talking about power. We're talking about real power. Like, people that want to be in charge, allegedly. All right? So there's going to be fuck shit going on, is all I'm trying to say. If it happens in other places, we might want to prepare ourselves for different potential outcomes and how we can respond. According, we've got to nip it in the. How do you seriously, if you got a large population like any country, how do you make sure that, like, okay, if you believe in voting and you vote, how do you make sure your vote gets counted? That's something that I'm genuinely concerned with. If that's the thing that we're relying on to be like, all right, well, the people, so maybe we could instead of voting, maybe we could like all at nighttime get different color, for the different candidates, get different color, glow in the dark glow sticks, and at nighttime be like, all right, dark now, right? So whoever, if you are voting red, put out your red glow sticks. If you're voting left or blue, put out your blue glow sticks. And then at nighttime, everybody grabs their glow sticks, and then we take a picture of that and be like, well, clearly there's more of whichever color, but then people might, again, dick around and just get false or extra glow sticks. So that one, but it was a good effort. It was a good effort. We could, what about clapping? What about get people at nighttime when people are ready to decide, you say, if you like this guy, make it clap, and all the bitches are clapping their booties. And then if you like the other guy, make your booties clap. But then you could get extra booties or just artificially create booty clapping noise, like just dick slapping against vag. And you're like, well, that, based on what I saw in the streets, I totally thought the other side would have got the more booty claps. But again, and it becomes a point of, it becomes a point of contention. I'm just looking ahead, trying to see what we can do to solve this. Do we rely on electrical devices to count do voting machines? Do we count on those? Could they be rigged? Electronic devices, could they potentially man, this is not gonna get solved easily, is it? That's good, because I like puzzles and mystery, and that's beautiful. And you do too, because we're one and the same. That's what that's. So yes, Venezuela, my heart goes out. I hope that you can get a hold of things and stop going in whichever direction that you don't want to be going in, and go in the direction that the people want to go in, and that's basically making people have access to life and to affordability and cost of life and all that shit. Down there too, not just for me personally or you over there, but all of us somehow. It takes all of us, I think. So yes, Venezuela. You got a lot of good things going on for you. Hot bitches, men's with the 6-packs, sports, questionable, maybe in the future. Yes, of course. Invest in education, that'll or something. But yes, let's get that oil money in properly if we can, and invest it in the country. And but yes, done. We did it together. Beautiful. At least we did a little bit of it together. Moderno versus Gonzalez. Maduro, Gonzalez. People should, I believe, if we are relying on, I believe every person should be their own leader. I don't believe we need leader, but if we do need leaders, because we say we do, all leaders should be on psilocybin. All leaders should be mandatory, large doses of mushrooms. You should. You should also be on just, truth serums and also Neuralink, all global leaders. That way, because most people around the world, when you travel a little bit and you talk to random people on the streets, and most people are so, beautiful and kind and generous and good souls, and they're just trying their best. And that's just beautiful. But yes, so it's the ones that are power hungry and want to control and be in those positions of quote unquote elite status. Dominating motherfuckers. They want to be dominating, but deep down inside they want to be dominated. So get those guys on psilocybin, truth serum, Neuralink. I want to read their minds. I don't want to not, if we're going towards mind reading, whether it's again through meditation, use of herbs, spices, or technology. The first people that I want to see, I want to get a glimpse of I want to know whoever is demanding to be elected, those people, or whether it's a president or if you happen to be working with a monarchy or whatever you're working with, or if it's like a prime minister. So there's the people in charge. I want to know what the fuck you're thinking. Those are the people because they have all this on us. They have everything on the populace. All our information, all our data's being collected by this, that, and the other, and being studied and and we don't know anything about these guys. They come say a few words that sounds nice, they get up, stay in there for a few years, fill their pockets, and for the most part, the important stuff never gets dealt with. Well, we're here to deal with it, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's a little bit of Venezuela, which again is maybe a foreshadowing of what is to come in other places, but unless we nip it in the bud. You know how to nip it in the bud, don't you? Nip it in the air. Yeah, nip it in the. You know how to nip it in the bud, don't you? Yeah, I don't know how to be elections. That's a doozy right there. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's Friday. Let me ask you this. Are you a man that likes to beat up women? Have you been ostracized all your life? Did you get locked up by any chance because you beat your wife or your sister or your mother or a random female on the streets? Well, society didn't accept you or understand you up until now. Things are changing, but they might be changing back soon right now. I believe it was the Olympics that is just, it's going on for some time. It's going to be going on for a little bit of time, I believe, until August 11th, if I'm not mistaken, for a couple of weeks. It's been going on, competing, it's nice. Athletes are doing it. It's good for athletics. It's good for something. And it does stuff for people. And it gets people excited. But if you were like, man, I'm a man and I want to beat a woman, but I can't because society just looks at me and says, what a douche. Well, if you get yourself to the Olympics, mister, you can beat a woman. There's now a platform there's a huge global platform where you can go beat a woman and win and come out on top. And that is, I guess, it's beautiful, and it's because if you know, in terms of like, you know, if you were looking for a place to, like, you know, knock out a bitch, the Olympics will let you do that. They'll let you do that. You can do that now. In boxing, you can get in there as a male, call yourself a female, and fight a bitch, and take the gold. You can do that now. It's, you know, I'll say this. This of course is a shocking revelation and a shocking turn of events, as we said earlier in the program. And in a shocking turn of events, a man physically outmuscled a woman. Who would have seen this coming? Who could have seen this coming? Who could have seen? I hear every year people get attacked by sharks in the ocean. Who could have seen that coming? I hear if you're out there in the depths of the woods, you might get eaten ass first by a grizzly bear. Who could have seen this coming? I heard that if you jump in the water, you might get wet. In a shocking turn of events, who could have seen that coming? I've heard that, you know, if you travel at high speed and come to a screeching halt because something just gets right in front of you, like a giant boulder or something, that you are gonna make impact. And who could have seen this coming? Of course, not all men are. This is just generally speaking. Men are more physically powerful than women. But this is just the general, so I don't want this to be stopping you out there. I don't care how many bitches it takes. Get in there, fight the men's. One of you eventually will outpower it, like you will outmuscle a man. Eventually, one person will be. Again, generally speaking, most men are really strong compared to women. Generally speaking, there are those freaks of nature who we love that'll fucking twist and turn you and make you into a little pretzel and then ride your face. And that's nice too. But for the time being, it's great for men. I know this all started as putting women first and girls first. There's been a whole movement which was good in the beginning, like way back, maybe around 100 years ago. Good intentions, get the ladies out there, and then somewhere along the line, we went full circle where women became the best versions of themselves by becoming men. So we are doing that now, which is nice. So yeah, shout out to you know, men in terms of no one does womanhood better than men. We collect all the medals. of course, when it comes to strength right now, of course, when it comes to strength, other, if it was a birthing event, if there was catapult this baby out of your vag, I bet a woman would beat a man any day, but that's just giving birth. And what are reproductive systems? The point of this is that it's good. This is great. I am a little bit upset because I didn't know it was happening in advance, because I would have bet the house on the one with the CAC. You know what I mean? If it's still going on, if you want to make bank right now, if you've got a CAC in the mix of the hens, bet put the house on the CAC. I'm telling you right now, limited time only. This might actually be one of the best ways to make easy money, cash money. But I'm not a financial advisor. If you happen to lose your life savings, then so be it. If some She-Hulk fucking shows up and knocks a guy out, then I don't know what to tell you, but that's life. You roll the dice and see where it lands, baby. Nip it in the bud. The point of this is that, ladies and gentlemen, we are just having fun, of course. Of course, we are just having fun. I did hear that McDonald's, for the first time in a few years, is the sales of McDonald's is going down, and it's not a good thing, despite the fact that you're like, oh, finally, this opens up more room for mom and pop shops. And that's not what it means. Because if the big corporations, big dogs are having problems with their sales, and not to say that McDonald's is having problems by any stretch of the imagination, they've been doing really well for a really long time, but if big companies start dipping, it's an indicator for the smaller mom and pop shops as well. It's an indicator of people's purchasing power. As people's purchasing power is under a little stress, I feel like people are just, trying to make sense of what's going on in this new world that we're living in, facing many challenges each and every day. But yes, McDonald's is becoming less affordable for people, which is sad news, because that's where at least you had, at least you could, growing up, just a few decades ago, you could just go stuff your face with McDonald's if you were maybe, if you were financially not as well as you would have liked, you could stuff your face with McDonald's and still gotten fat and juicy and just, ooh, look at that juicy, well-off, affluent fella or lady, they'll say, because he or she can afford a lot of food, and fat means money, delicious money wrapped around your arteries, clogging your arteries with bloody fat tissue muscle stuff. And it was nice, and that too seems to be a dream that is fading away, but we can get it back. I don't know how, because what tends to happen is that we get divided and conquered, because we at one point say, well, yes, the workers got to get paid more so that they can have more purchasing power. As soon as you start paying the workers more, they're like, well, the companies now need to charge more because now they're paying the employees. So it's just, this money thing seems to be really fucking us up, is all I'm trying to say. Or most of it works out for some people really well. Not to say that if it's not working out for you right now, it won't work out for you in the future, because that is not, that shit will turn around. And it does. But I think, yes, we have seen a extreme disparity between earners out there. We have seen that exponentially. We have billionaires, we are getting close to having trillionaires, and yet you still have people who are across the globe having a difficult time getting their hands on a piece of land and becoming lords of the land. Lording over land. I'm telling you right now, the second I become a landlord, I will start wearing a robe, and I will get out there and collect my newspaper with nothing but a robe and maybe a pair of nice slippers, and I will declare to my neighbors every day, fellow lords, good morning. And I will go back inside the house. Of course, by that time, I'm not sure if we'll have newspapers around, but I will go out there and collect something. I'll chuck my iPhone or digital eyeball that's installed in my head on the lawn, and I will go collect it. untie my robe and then tie it back up again and walk back inside and say, good day, fellow lords. Feels good to be a lord, doesn't it? In this lordship of ours, and everybody will also untie their robes and tie their robes and collect their digital eyeballs and stuff it back in their eye sockets and walk back inside. Oh, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be good. So yeah, getting fat is not easy. It used to be easy, but it's started to it has been for a long time, for some time now. We do need to somehow make a difference. And I don't know what the answer is, but I believe the answer lies in politics. No, that's our problem. The problem is politics. How do you solve it? That's the answer, is in how do you solve the problem of politics. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that in other shocking turn of events, who could have seen this coming? A shocking twist of turn of events. The Middle East is seeing tensions rise. Who could have seen this coming? What a surprise. No one saw this coming. Completely out of left field. Because in the Middle East, they're known for being cool, calm, collected, accepting, loving, understanding, completely cool, calm, collected, completely chill. They are in the Middle East. They are known to be chill. So this one, way out of the left field. Apparently tensions they've been rising. They've been rising. They've been rising for some time. Gradually, it's been rising for years and years and decades, some say. And then the October 6th, 7th thing happened, and then rising. Eventually, it's going to rise. And as people are doing tit for tat, they're slapping each other in the face with a titty. And the other one's like, oh, I see your titty. And then bro, right there, titty in your face. So we're edging closer and closer to something that potentially could be disastrous for the humans. For humans. For which group of humans? The whole of it, all of it. Something's happening. I don't know exactly what is happening, but I believe there was assassinations are apparently going down, which is nice for the assassination business. And then people are like, oh, there needs to be retaliations. And then there might be retaliations. And then we keep upping the ante until somebody does something cray-cray, and that'll induce global trauma. And we haven't had one of those, like, we just have so many, it's just hard to keep up. But we might. I hope not. I hope people are cool, calm, collected. And again, who could have seen this coming? Because again, in the Middle East, so accepting, everybody of each other, different faiths getting along, everybody respects one another, and there's freedom for women and children and animals, and and nobody thinks they're better than one another. And so that one came out of that one. It's yes. Recent rise in tensions in the Middle East is, yes, sure, it might have been going on for for a few decades or 100 years. Or a few hundred years. It might have been going on for 1,000 years. But who could have seen this coming? No one. I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen. I will say this, that I would like to see tensions lower the tensions. And how do we do that? We do that by introducing to the Middle East what I believe is lacking from their overall way of doing things. But this is just my opinion. I don't know anything. But I'm saying it's hot in there. I've been saying this for since it's hot there. They need a little bit more sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Sex, they need to be producing and just doing it for funsies too, not just for, I think there's a problem sometimes when you just sex for the producing. I think that's when things get a little bit incestual. drugs. I think there needs to that just umbrella term for freedom. They just need to be able to just more freely do things. Rock and roll, again, umbrella term for entertainment. They need to be entertained because these people are hot, they're aggravated, they're hairy, they're phlegmed up, all of them. And you're like, which one? All of them. Phlegmy, hairy, beautiful. But again, the South Americans got it right. If you're in a hot place, reduce the number of clothing items. Brazilian bikini, learn from that, adapt. What the Brazilians did to the bikini, we need that in the Middle East. All right? And we need people to start fucking outside their bubbles. We need people to start, they say do the hardest thing. And if right now you're like, oh, but this group has been doing me wrong for that, that's when the devil's on your shoulder saying, hey, go do something about it, but don't. That's when you need to reduce the clothing items and say, you know what? I will engage in a sexual manner and make inner ethnic babies. We need Jewish Muslims. We need Jislims. Once we figure that out, and that'll solve a few things, I think. Jislims. Or Musjews. Jews. We need more of that somehow, of course. Because most people, again, you travel to the regular people are good, decent people. People in charge, people in, certain power positions get a little bit, you get a little bit status. It's in us. It's in that feces flicking DNA that's still in us. We have it, all of us, which is nice. I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, I've also heard, let's move on to something, of course, that's a little bit more something. Butterflies, ladies and gentlemen. Butterfly population is going down a little bit, I believe, and that's globally speaking. I never hear of insects or animals populations just doing Why? You always hear about, the population of bees is going down, population of butterflies is going down, going down. I don't know what's making them go down. If it's pesticides, quit using it. But also at the same rate, you do hear of insects and animals that have been now, living in a place like near Chernobyl, they become nuclear resistant. So if these butterflies or these bees are dying just because of a little pesticide, learn from the animals that are resisting nuclear. If there's some animals that are doing fine with nuclear waste in the ground, they're just fucking glow in the dark, and you can't kill these fucks. And they are becoming mutants, and that's scary. Mutant wolves, man, are scary. But learn from them. These butterflies should take the pesticide a little bit at a time and get stronger. And if that does, I don't know what's causing it, to be honest with you, but I would like us to encourage more butterfly activity by simple activities. If you go swimming, I don't want to see freestyle, butterflies only. I want us to concentrate on butterflies. I want us to, if you are shown a ink blot and are asked what image you see, just say butterfly. Just try to get that out there into the ether. If you are if you are like wondering, should you or should you not engage in the butterfly effect, do so, because we need to see more butterflies. I will also like to ask the furry community to step in right now for a period of time. You beautiful freaks, if you could gather yourselves, and instead of dressing up as dogs or wolves or camels for a period of time, if you could just dress up as furry butterflies and sex in giant butterfly outfits, I think it'll attract smaller butterflies, because they'll see, it's seeing is believing, and also life imitates life. And also you just want to let it know that butterfly lives matter. So I want to see, I don't want it for a year. If we could just stay away, if I know you're like, I want to dress up as a poodle and fuck in a really hot poodle outfit. Do something for nature for once in your life, do something for nature. Dress up as a large hairy butterfly and fuck in the middle of a meadow, if you will, so that we could see a rise in the population of butterflies. If you're out there trapping butterflies in your little, if you got a little net and you're quit chasing butterflies. If you are, I think we've learned everything we need to know about butterflies. You don't need to dry them out and put them in some sort of a booklet where down the line you can show your grandchildren that you were a butterfly enthusiast. They're not doing too well, is what I hear, of course. But that's just what I hear. I don't know. Maybe the butterflies are fucking doing extremely well. Maybe that's just their way of, getting more resources. How do I know? I'm not a butterfly. I'm not a fucking butterfly. I don't know. I don't speak butterfly. All right? People who will not be released in a prisoner exchange swap program. If you are the type that is going to airports and saying just stop oil and spray painting airports and fucking up paintings in museums, you will not be, just letting you know out there. It's not up to me. If it were up to me, thank God it's not up to me, but oh man, these people are the first, if you are ruining paintings, if you are holding up people at the airport because of just stop oil, you should immediately be deported to a third world country right now. Deport them right now, or at least put them into I don't believe in mandatory military service, but if you are slowing down someone's day, if you're stopping traffic, if you're going to an airport, which is already if you're making flights more difficult than they already are, you should enlist in the army. I believe But those are just a few things that were on my head today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me. It's been excellent being with you. It's been great being with you. It'll continue to be great being with you once again next week. Where can you find these videos? Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Instagrams. Follow me there if you like. Subscribe on the old YouTube channel if you like. Check out patreon.com/RobSandry if you like. And by that I mean just do it. Just do it. For the fuck of it, just do it. And yes, I'll be back here again next week. In the meantime, love you all. Thank you for being a part of my life and letting me be a part of yours. Be good to yourselves out there. Fucking let's get it together, and let's get hard for the elections. And let's make things affordable once again somehow by paying people more or less.